Marco,
Sean,
we're nearly there.
yeah, what kind of music you want to hear in the car?
I want some. I think we have similar tastes, but different bands. I don't know. I think you like long hair rock, and I like
Short hair rock,
mohawk rock.
mohawk. Oh yeah, you're more on the punk side. I'm
I
more
am more
on
on the.
the long hair. Yeah, that's right.
They're both energetic, though.
Yeah, well, I like all kind of music, and you know what
That's
I
cool.
like to? I like to drive to RSA Conference. It's been a while. We
I
have been
know.
announcing that we're back on the road instead of flying there, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And with that, it comes the chats on the road, which are not
Uh,
literally on the road. We're just before RSA conference, RSAC conference, actually, as they call it nowadays. And I'm excited for this one. It's a good
I
friend.
know. I know. You and I, best friends, get to drive up together to see more great friends. One of whom is on with us, Steve Schlarman from Archer. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Good.
It's good to see you. I
Yeah.
always love your backdrop. That's why we're talking music.
That's why
It's
we're
always
talking
a
music.
good conversation starter.
It
So,
is a good
yeah.
conversation starter. It's amazing how many people actually play music in the industry.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
It's quite impressive.
Especially interesting enough in the security space.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
lot of musicians.
yeah.
Yep. I
I
think
think
it comes
Marco knew
together.
somebody a long time ago and ended up working for a security company. You knew him as a band member at first, I think. If I'm not
Yeah, it
mistaken.
was the
Yeah,
other way around. I think it comes together like a little bit of love for technology and hacking and artistry and experimenting. Maybe that's the word. You know, when you like to experiment with things. But uh,
yeah. Well, taking that, I think what's cool is people come together for music. People also come together for security, right? Different reasons, but we do come together as a community and enjoy being with each other and in this case learning, right? And experiencing what's going on with respect to risk and governance and the threats that we face within our businesses and hopefully meet people like Steve who can help us mitigate those risks and be compliant with all the stuff that we have to internally and legislatively and otherwise. And yeah, so Steve and the team from Archer is going to be there in San Francisco. We're going to have a chat with you on location there, Steve. Um, for folks who haven't met you yet, you've been on the show before, but maybe just a quick word about your role at Archer these days and what you're up to.
Sure, sure. So I'm Steve Schlarman. I'm a director of product management in at Archer. If you're familiar with Archer, you should kind of know where we sit. But Archer is a integrated risk management GRC platform. We've been around for a long time. We're starting our 25th year in operation, but we've always sat right in the middle of governance, risk, and compliance. So we started out very early on supporting information security functions, and we have grown since then to support all types of risk and compliance functions. And so our new platform, Archer Evolve, that we launched last year, really is the leading platform if you want to put all your processes and orchestrate your governance, risk, compliance processes, audit, business continuity, security processes. Our platform allows you to consolidate that data, organize, workflow those processes, and then report on it and deliver some insights into your management to help them make better business decisions. So as with my role in product management is I'm leading our Archer Evolve for risk effort. We've done quite a bit of work on the compliance side, and so I've taken on a role to really take our risk management capabilities to the next level.
you know, I
Yeah,
always wonder if we are at that stage where cybersecurity is not driven only by regulation and having to make those steps and kind of like damn it, I have to do it. And it started to get that sense of value for a company to
Mm-hmm.
actually be secure. I like your opinion on where we're standing on that.
Yeah, I mean, we've always started the conversation with compliance. What do I have to do?
Right.
It's kind of like going to the dentist. What do I have to do to just to stay healthy? But there's an acknowledgement that that's only a subset of what you really need to do to manage risk, and security is no different. Of course, there's data security and privacy standards and those types of obligations that organizations need to meet to stay off of the front pages, make sure that data breaches are prevented, or if something does happen, you have the right processes in place to escalate and quarantine and deal with any kind of security breach. But more and more organizations are realizing that there's a lot of the things that they should be doing to help manage risk. And I think one of the difficult parts of that is how much risk are we willing to take on, and how do we understand what our exposure is, and then subsequently decide how much am I going to spend, what is the effort I'm going to make sure I'm secure, make sure that I'm not only just compliant with the letter of the law and the regulations, but I am doing all of the prudent management efforts to keep my data secure, keep my customers happy, keep my stakeholders and my shareholders going in the right direction. And that's really the trade-off. In security, no one's ever going to be 100% secure. And if you had an infinite amount of money, you might get pretty close, but no organization has that the resources to throw everything at managing the risk. So they have to be cognizant of what their exposure is, and then put in strategies and plans and good processes to mitigate what they can and be ready for the inevitable, which we've seen time and time happen.
Yeah, and of course, Archer is a household name. You mentioned 24 years doing this stuff, which is incredible. And it's one might think a fairly static view of what Archer is, and I had a chance to connect with you guys last week here in New York City, and it's clear you haven't sat on your laurels. You haven't sat on technology. You haven't sat on a state of what GRC looks like and tried to hold that for people. You've actually evolved, and funny enough, you name the name of the product, and all the subsets are evolve without
Nice
E at
one,
the end.
Sean. Nice one.
But I think what's important is because things have changed,
Mm-hmm.
but so have you and your teams and the way you approach this problem. And we also had a chance to sit with you and a number of your customers at Summit, and some great feedback from the customers in terms of how you respond to their needs and changes that they're experiencing. So maybe you kind of briefly described Evolve, but what are some of the biggest changes there that would highlight some of the
Yeah.
things that you
Yeah,
mentioned?
Sean, you're right. Archer has been I don't want to say synonymous with GRC, but there's many practitioners that have seen Archer in their profession, whether they've used it within a company or they know somebody who's used it. And we've always tried to push the envelope when it comes to supporting our clients. And one of our strengths is really the fact that we've always stayed within the GRC lane. We are we aspire to be the leading risk and compliance platform, and that's what everyone at Archer wakes up every day, and how can we help solve those problems? And Archer Evolve is really the latest iteration of our platform. And some of the new things, if you haven't seen Archer in a while, stop by our booth, because you will definitely want to see what we've been doing. It's a combination of a bunch of different initiatives that have really come together over the last 18 months to result in this Evolve platform. It's the addition of AI capabilities. One of the AI has a lot of applications. It has a lot of potential. And one of the things that we feel very strongly about is for risk and compliance, it's applying our expertise and our experience in adopting those new technologies. So our approach for compliance is really cutting edge. It's applying large language models and many other techniques developed at a company we acquired last year called Compliance AI, and they had been in the business for a little over 7 years, really focused on how do we, solve the problem of regulatory change, mapping controls, understanding obligations, taking a massive workload and automating it to the point where your compliance experts are doing what they should be doing, which is really helping the business, and not reading through pages and pages and pages of documents and trying to extract obligations and what controls, finding what controls we have in place and writing controls. We've taken an approach to really automate that through the use of AI, and we're extending that through many of our other capabilities. So that's one element of Evolve, is really applying AI in a very purpose built manner designed for risk and compliance teams. The second piece of Archer Evolve is the understanding that it's not just the people with security, risk, compliance in their job titles that are responsible for managing risk today. And so we've revamped the user experience. We've paid a lot of attention to those sometime users of GRC systems, whether it's a business unit leader that is doing an annual risk assessment. It's a frontline manager who does a control assessment once a quarter. They're not the power users. And so we've really looked at what are those personas? How do we get them into the system, get them to provide the right data, and then move on with their day. And so not disrupt them with a lot of administrative overhead. So it's really about creating what we call the next generation risk experience, which is a marketing way of saying just making processes smoother, automating what we can, and really helping those risk and compliance teams meet their mandates to keep the company off of the front page and be prepared for different types of disruptions.
You need the input of the company, and you need to make it easy for them to give the context in a way that matters. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think you said something I like, presenting Evolve and staying ahead of the game, and that's why we go to conferences as well, right? It's kind of like you kind of go there to see the future. Like it may be NAM for instruments, mm-hmm. right? It could be cars. It could be, RSAC Conference is where you see the future of cybersecurity. So, it's great that you're going to be there and you're going to have demo and you're going to have a lot of things that you can show to people interested.
Absolutely. That's one of the best things that I think. I've been to RSA Conference many, many, many times. And I think that's one of the most interesting things, is seeing where the envelopes are being pushed. So, we'll have a staff at our booth. It's booth 3117. And we'll be, doing demos, but also talking about a lot of the customer success stories. We have, obviously, we have 1,200 plus clients across the globe. We work with all types of industries, all sizes of organizations. So it's really nice that we can apply that visibility and help clients move their game forward. And so, we'll have a great team there to talk to. So you can come by, you can learn what we're doing, see some of the things that we have in store for the future.
Yeah, and then to bring it back to the community again as well, people that come to the booth, congregate at the booth, talk to you, but also talk to each other. Mm-hmm. It'll create this storm of understanding and thought provocation, and a view for what's possible, and a view for what's desired, and melding all that together, and working with you and your team, Steve, to see it happen. And I think there's nothing more powerful than some of those conversations on the show floor, and in the halls and everywhere else around the conference.
Yeah. Yeah. Always come back with some interesting tidbits, whether it's a new perspective from existing clients, because we have a lot of existing clients who come by who say, "Oh, I'm already an Archer customer. What are you guys up to? Give me a little taste of some of the things that I can go back and tell my team about." Or we have, clients who come up and say, "Hey, I want to tell you about some of the cool stuff we've been doing with Archer in our company." So it's really nice to see both the existing clients and see some old friends, but then also meet some new prospects. And we love talking with those prospects to see what are they looking for, what are their needs, how can we meet them, and really, we view this as a partnership. It's not just a technology implementation to us. It's really, how do we help you go on that journey for risk and compliance, build out a strategy that is sustainable and meets your stakeholders' needs.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes me think about when we were, at the event, and I really noticed that you do pay attention to what your customer has to say, right? And I think that's extremely important. You can't just package something and hope that that's going to work for everybody,
Yeah.
right? It will be too easy. It's
Yeah.
actually, so there was those kind of event. There's this one, and I'm kind of curious, like, you've been there a long time, many times, and I think, we can easily say the conversation went from just being strictly IT and technology to realize that it's a human element as well.
Mhm.
It's the business and the continuity and all of that. So what kind of questions, let's say, in conversation do you expect to have on the floor this year?
Oh, that's a great question, because we do get a full gamut of people, the different personas. One of the nice things about Archer is that we are used by all types of personas. So we'll have security administrators coming in and talking to us about, how do I manage vulnerabilities across multiple tools? How do I tie that back to business criticality so that I don't show up at a meeting and just tell a business owner, you have these vulnerabilities on this system, and they say, I don't know what that means. So how do I put business context around those security findings? We also have, on more strategists and policymakers within organizations coming in. How do I educate people about controls? How do I ensure my controls are mapped to the proper frameworks for IT and security, at the same time meeting all of these different laws and regulations that my business counterparts are coming to me, because that's a big piece of documenting your controls and making sure that the greater technology management department knows what they need to do from a security perspective. And then, of course, we have risk and compliance teams, audit teams coming in and asking us, how do we orchestrate those processes? How do we engage the business to get the data? And then what should we be delivering to our stakeholders in terms of insights? What are those questions that we should really be looking to answer? And how does your technology support those processes? So, we always kind of tie things back to four key things. You want to orchestrate your processes, make sure that they're consistent, sustainable, and repeatable, that you're integrating data, whether it's coming from people or it's coming from systems like vulnerability scanners or configuration management tools. You want to use that data, but you also have to get data from people. So how are you integrating all that data together? How are you engaging the business to understand the impacts of security vulnerabilities, the criticality of systems, risks, and so forth? And then ultimately, how are you delivering insights to your stakeholders? How are you making them make better business decisions?
Yeah, and what I love, having seen what you've been up to lately, is, I mean, GRC is a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have a program in place, keeping that up to date can be challenging. If you're trying to figure out how to get started, setting one up can be challenging. You and your team have tremendous experience helping customers of all sizes across various sectors around the world. And it's those experiences are going to help jumpstart and refresh as needed. So I think it's a no-brainer for me if your company has GRC, which it should, stop by booth 3117 and chat with Steve and some of the other folks. I'm pretty sure Dan's going to be there and others. Yeah, a chance to talk with folks who know what it means to have a good program in place.
Yeah, and pick our brains. We have the team that'll be there are working with clients all the time on where they're going with their implementation of Archer, what they're looking for. So you're right. It is GRC is a large universe of activities, and over the past almost 25 years, we've seen a lot of things. So we're happy to be able to share that experience and help our clients.
Yeah, it's invaluable.
Love that, and then we'll get a chance to sit down with you there on location, go a little deeper into what we just talked about, and then we'll talk again after for a little recap, so I can actually check if your prediction were correct or not.
That's
right. Well, I predict a very busy conference.
That's for sure,
and some very interesting conversations.
Yeah. All right. I think you're pretty safe with that.
Yes,
absolutely. Well, one at least. I'm excited to dig into some use cases and customer stories with you, Steve, and flesh some of this stuff out some more. So thanks, Steve, for taking this time. Safe journey to San Francisco as we wrap up this Chats on the Road to the RSAC Conference with Steve and the Archer team. 3117 is the booth. We'll see you there, and looking forward to our chat, Steve.
Great.
Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching. Please do subscribe. There's more coming to you from RSAC Conference on location with Sean, Martin, Marco Ciappelli. Stay tuned.